This camera setup, it's terrible. I look like crap. No one asked for this either. Let's get into the video, I guess. Hi, I'm Rachel, and I read a lot. Again, no one asked for this. People have told me, Rachel, you'll be a great YouTuber. And I'm saying you're lying, but here I am trying it out. I kept track of all the books that I read this year. I'm gonna tell you about them. So the first book that I've ever read, it was We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. I think I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It is not a 5 out of 5 stars. It's like a 3.5. It was good. It just wasn't great because it was very, very slow in the beginning. But once you like pieced a little bit of it, everything went crashing down. Shit hit the fan. Cadence, I hate her. Main character, hate the main character. She's just annoying. Oh my God. Like, why can't you just leave things alone? You obviously have trauma. Why search for what you have trauma about? It was a good read. I mean, if you are not much of a reader, I'd recommend. But if you want to be blown away by a book, don't pick this up. 3.5. So the next book that I read, it was actually for my Lit and Comp 11 class, Literature and Composition. I could pick any book. It just had to deal with minority. And so that's why I chose The Grief Keeper by Alexandra Villasante. It follows this girl named Marisol and her little sister, and they cross the border from Mexico to America to find a better life. It deals with finding who you are as a person, immigration. It's a really good book. However, really slow.
Really slow.
Once the romance hit between Marisol and the girl that she's staying with in America, it made me really angry. Like, I understand Marisol is doing this for her sister, but the other girl, the girl that she's taking the emotions from through this like little device, made me so angry. You are using this person. How do you not know? How do you not know that the reason Marisol is feeling terrible is because of you? You fall in love with this girl, and it was a good book. It was a good book. I recommend it if you want to learn, if you want to read something about Mexican immigration and things like that. I said overall a pretty enjoyable book, but it's not something I would reread, and I totally understand that. Like, it was a good book, but I would only read it once. It's not as good as something I would read like twice and reread, because I do that a lot with books. Honestly, the only reason I picked this up at Ollie's was because look at how beautiful this cover is. This cover is gorgeous. So that was The Grief Keeper by Alexandra Villasante. Okay, the third book I read this year was The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. My Great Gatsby review on Notion says that I give it a 3 stars only because it was hard read and I would probably never read it again. A good book, just not my cup of tea. It is such my cup of tea. I want to start reading classics so bad, and this was such a good book to get into classics. I mean, yes, I understand it's a really hard read, but I feel like the only reason why I fully understood it was because I had my teacher there helping me, telling me what things meant. Anyway, The Great Gatsby, I give it a 4.5 now. It's not a 3 anymore. It's a 4.5. It's really good. And I would definitely reread this again. So I recommend it if you want to get into classics. So now we're getting into my summer reads. I did get to read quite a lot. And I read some of the best books this summer. Like, this year, I would say is my best list of reads. Really good. So my fourth book I read this year is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. So all over TikTok. This book is all over TikTok, and I've read lesbian literature before. I've never read gay literature, and this is great. This is very good. If you ever have watched The Politician on Netflix, one of my favorite shows. Love you, Ben Platt. This a lot, like The Politician to a tea. If you like The Politician on Netflix, you'll love Red, White, and Royal Blue. The main character, Alex, there are some points, did not like him. I'm like, dude, I understand you're trying to figure out who you are because you've been in the public light for quite a while now. However, get off your high horse. Really, get off your high horse. Love you, Alex. But yeah, but I will say this book is a really good book. I gave it a 5 out of 5. Again, I'm really generous with my stars. A lot of people are like really critical with books. If I really like it, I really like it. I give it a 5 out of 5. This made me, like, I have my own little atmosphere. I bring a blanket outside. I have my cats with me and I read. And I was in my front yard dying laughing from this book. This book is hilarious. If you read this, the turkey scene makes me cry. Laughing, like cry laughing. It's so funny. And the ending of this book really is very heartfelt. Like really, like you could tell Casey put so much heart into the ending. It's so good. And I really recommend this to anyone. So, the 5th book that I read this year, very different than the last 4 books that I read. However, I'm really into mystery. I get it from my grandma. I'm really into mystery and I love this author with my whole being. And that is Karen M. McManus's The Cousins. So actually, I think I gave this a 5 or a 4. I gave this a 5 and I still stand by that. This is a really good book. Very action-packed at the end. There were twists and turns all throughout. Someone who I thought was a cousin was not a cousin. And then there's romance, which you didn't expect it because it's called The Cousins, West Virginia. Who? I'll read a little bit of my review on Notion. So I said, the twists and turns that this book had. Every turn page, I was learning a new secret. People pretending they're someone they're not. Murder, fraud. This book has it all. I recommend all of Karen M. McManus's book, but this one is so good. 5 stars all the way. This is such a good mix of mystery, thrill, romance, and that's one of the reasons I love Karen M. McManus's writing. Karen M. McManus, one of my favorite authors. One of Us is Lying became a TV show. I don't have Peacock, but if I can find it illegally, I will watch it. So this year I tried something very, very new genre-wise. This book. I am a changed person since I've read this series. I have fallen in love, I've fallen out of love, and I've fallen in love with other characters, and this whole book just makes me, oh. So the book I'm talking about is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Such a good book. I think my review on this is like really funny. Okay. I would like to thank Book Talk for recommending me this series. I haven't read a series since middle school, Heroes of Olympus, and I'm so excited to see how this world unfolds. This is the first time I've ever read fantasy. I will say world building is really hard to follow, especially since I don't have much experience in the genre. The beginning is slow, but once Feyre kills the wolf, aka Andress, it gets pretty interesting. Feyre is a badass, independent woman who hunts for her family because they're all lazy and won't get off the couch to make money. Hate Nesta, wish Nesta can trip over a curb. The dad is whatever. He's only there to showcase the fact that Feyre has a living parrot. Not that cool of a dude. And I say in this, Tamlin is the love of my life. He's so sweet and caring for the most part. The ending really threw me off, the whole Tamlin loving train. Dude wasn't under a spell or anything, just didn't feel like protecting his girlfriend or whatever. And when he finally got a chance to see her, all he wanted to do was have sex. Okay, tampon, no need for that. I call Tamlin tampon. I think it's the funniest thing ever. And I would say a good 4-star read. And it's a 4-star read because it's not like the best book ever, but it's really good. It really got me into a world where I love, and this put me in such a reading mood. It made me want to read. And that brings me on to my 7th book of the year, A Court of Mist and Fury. This is the sequel in the ACOTAR series by Sarah J. Maas. This is so much better than the first book. So much better because there wasn't a toxic relationship in this one. This was full-on love. The chapters in this. Oh, so good. So good. I gave it a 5 stars. The first one was a 4 stars. This was a 5 stars. Reasoned. I don't even know if I'm saying your name right. Love me. Pick me. Choose me. Love me, Reasoned. Wait, this is a really good book. I gave it a 5 stars. Here, let me read you some of my writing on my review. Holy crap, I need the 3rd book right now or else I think I'm going to explode. So remember how I liked Tamlin? He was such a cute and protective boyfriend material kind of guy. Scratch everything I said about that man. I hate you, Tampon, with a burning passion. Go die in a hole. Thank you. This book gives us some wonderful tropes as well. Obviously enemies to lovers, but also found family. Reason's inner circle consists of Valyrian warriors, Cassian and Azrael, as well as his cousin Morgan and second in command Amren. All 5 have such a fun bond, and I would feel like if they were real, I would so want to be friends with them. I might have a tiny crush on Cassian, but we're not really going to talk about that. They also have the one bed trope, so get excited and read it. I so recommend it. Also, the ending to this. The ending to this, I screamed. I screamed. My parents always tell me I am way too dramatic about books. I don't care. Once I'm reading, I am Fabra. So I took a break from the ACOTAR series for a while because I was waiting for ACOWAR to come in. So I decided to reread a series that I love truly, deeply. This book series have helped me through a lot in my life, especially in middle school. And this is The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. Love this book. I love Percy Jackson. I am 17 years old. However, this book, reading it, I didn't feel like I was reading something made for middle schoolers. This book is timeless. It should be a classic, honestly. Laughed, even though these are 12-year-olds going on a quest, defeating monsters. And I was hooked from the beginning. I mean, I knew everything, but there are a lot of things that I forgot about. Obviously, I gave it a 5 stars. It's Percy Jackson. A true nostalgia read. I love this book with my whole being. Reading really took me back to my roots. Reading this really took me back to my roots, and it was a good way to get me out of a reading slump. I felt like I was a little kid again reading this. The comedy in this book never gets old, no matter what age you read it at. Percy Jackson has been a huge part of my life. Seeing the way Annabeth and Percy meet made me way too excited. I knew they would get together at the end of the series, so seeing their interaction in the first book is funny to me. A 5-star read through and through. The first time that Annabeth called Percy Jackson Seaweed Brain, I screamed. I thought it was the cutest thing. I love Percy Jackson. And we're back to ACOTAR. So over the summer, actually, I believe it was while I was reading Percy Jackson, I visited the college that I'm going to. I bought this at the bookshop in downtown Huntington. This was a fever dream. This was a fever dream. There was a lot of lore in it, and it was pure battle scenes. It was hard to follow. It was really just Farah holding on for dear life. I remember the one scene when Farah and Reasoned go to the High Lord meeting about the war with Hybern, Tampon shows up. Tampon shows up, and the things he say, let me just read this. Now, Tamlin is seen a few times in this book, unlike Mist and Fury, where he appeared in the beginning and the end. The High Lord meeting made me want to go into Prythian and strangle him. Man talked about, do you like the noises she makes when she's about to finish? That man said that. The man himself. Tampon string. I can pull Tampon out of this book and just smash him with it. I would. I so would. Do you like the noises she makes when she finishes? Also, Sarah J. Maas brought Lucian back into the story. Feyre and Lucian, best friends. But let's send him off. Let's ship him to an island. There were points in this story where I feel like Sarah J. Maas remembered, oh yeah, Lucian's still part of this book. Lucian's part of this book. I might have to write him in just so we can remember that he's here. And so she writes him in. And then by I think a third way in. Yeah, it was like a third way in. Sarah J. Maas just goes, hey, by the way, I'm shipping you to an island. create peace. It was so blindingly obvious that she always forgot that he was there, so she would just make him walk through the door sometimes just so we know he's alive. Then Lucian kept getting in the way, so Sarah J. Maas just decided to send him off to the continent to see what he's doing, something important. It was so obvious that she forgot who he was, that he was there. He would just walk into the door randomly, and we're like, what? I can't wait for Silver Flames. Very excited. Anyway, gave this a 4.5. Better than ACOTAR, not as good as Akamath. So I give this a 4.5. I never don't finish a book. However, this year, I had two did not finish. And a lot of people like this book. A lot of people like this book. However, I did not. And it's The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I got to the end of this book. I believe, like, I was so close to the end. And I regret not finishing it. And apparently I was, like, right at the edge of where things happened. But I read this for an enemies to lovers book. Enemies to lovers. And I got none of that. I understand it's slow burn. And I love me a good slow burn. However, Cardan was barely in the book. It was just Jude figuring out who she was, trying to figure it out. And Cardan was barely in the book. Cardan would just send his little minions to hurt her. It was so bad. This was a terrible book. Here, let me just read. It's short because I didn't finish it. This was so boring. It felt like a chore to read. Even the enemies to lovers trope was barely even there. I wanted to see some tension. All I saw was this weird staring contest and all of Cardan's friends trying to kill Jude. Jude was a badass though. Woman killed a dude and hid it under her bed. Girl boss move right there. I don't know if that's a spoiler. I feel like that's a spoiler. Not really. Like, it happens. He's alive, then he's dead, and you're just like... And it wasn't even that much about, oh, twist. Like, oh, she killed him. Okay. They try to kill Jude this whole entire book because she's human. But whenever a fairy dies, oh! No. The man dies. It's whatever. The thing is, I even got to the climax of the book, and it was still boring. Like, a dude died. Apparently, this was supposed to be the climax. Like, oh my god, someone killed him. It was building up to that anyway. Everyone knew this man was going to be murdered. But then everyone was so surprised. Oh my god, he was murdered. We knew it was gonna happen. And then Cardan and her were running away together. And they weren't really running away. Jude was carrying Cardan around in his own castle. Might return to this book. I might. But not in the near future. It was really bad. The next book. The worst book ever. Not as bad as Cruel Prince. This is A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas. Really short. It's just a novella. It's just to kind of wrap up everything that happened in War and Ruin. Wings and Ruin, sorry. Not War and Ruin. Wings and Ruin. It felt like I was reading a Wattpad book. A fan fiction. I've read quite the fan fiction in my lifetime. I've read quite a lot. I was on the verge of being a furry in middle school. We don't talk about it. I read Five Nights at Freddy's fan fiction. We do not talk about it. Favorite described Ross exquisite like 8 times in this book. It was so bad. I gave it a 3. I did appreciate the different point of views. I loved it whenever I was in Reese's point of view. Loved it. Cassian's point of view. Yes, please. Yes, please. I have no idea what's going to happen in Silver Flames. I don't know if it's going... Because I know it's not based around Feyre and Rhys. Because, like, this is the end of their story. This is the end. The worst ending for them. I want more. This should not be the end. This girl, while she was climaxing, thought about her child. Her future child thought about him. What the heck? This sucked. It was so bad. I mean, there were some scenes in it that I awed at, and there were some parts that were very well written, but Sarah, what did you do? This is nothing like her writing style. It read like a Wattpad fan fiction. I've read a fair share of Wattpad fan fictions. It was short like one too. Also, the plot in this was so bad. It was a Christmas dilemma. Oh no, I have no idea what to get my mate. That was the entire plot of this book. Oh no, it's Christmas time. What should I get my mate? Also, the amount of times I heard the word mate in this book, Like, if I took a shot every time I read the word mate, I'd be blacked out drunk. I did, like, I will say, I enjoyed some parts of it because I like reading the world that it's in. I like reading about the characters. However, this writing style was not Sarah J. Maas's. My next book, which is Wilder Girls by Roy Power. I have mixed feelings about this book. I can't put into words right now what I thought about this book, so I'm just gonna read my whole review that I put on Notion. This was an okay book. I feel like the main characters were just very separated from the story. They had their own thing going on, and that was that. The main character, Hetty, really got on my nerves. Same with Reese. Oh my god. Hetty. The main character, hated that chick. She was so selfish, and I understand we're in an apocalypse right now, but you are very selfish. Really got on my nerves. Same with Reese. Reese kind of got on my nerves just a little bit, but not as much as Hetty. Like, the only girl that I didn't groan every time she spoke was Byatt. Byatt's a real one. Hetty was really gatekeepy. Let Reese mourn her dad after you murdered the guy. She also was only thinking about herself throughout the whole story. Didn't think about anyone else. There are other girls dying. And you're like, come on, Reese. Let's go escape the island. You are the reason why 16 girls are dead. 16 girls died, Hetty. Died. But I want to get off the island! There was a weak attempt at romance between Reese and Hetty, and when I bought the book, I thought it was this dystopian lesbian romance, but I was mistaken. Hetty and Reese kissed once, and they thought they were a thing until they escaped Raxter and did some crap that ruined their whole lives just because Hetty was selfish. The ending also laid out some room for a sequel. However, I feel like that's the last thing this book needs. I give it a 3.5. Not good, but not bad either. I mean, if you want to read like a dystopian adjacent book, pick up this book. It's a pretty good book. If you want to read it because it's a lesbian novel, it's not. One kiss. One kiss is all we get. I want more than a kiss. My goal this year was 1 book a month, 12 books. And I have fully read 11. And I'm currently on my 12th book. However, I don't feel like I'm going to be finishing it by this Friday. Hi, editing Rachel. Okay, so I ended up finishing 12 books for my goal. My last book was Lore Olympus. It's a graphic novel. I don't know if that counts, but it counts for me. That was my books that I read in 2021. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, no one asked for this. If you want to see more of me, subscribe, I guess. I hope you have a great day. Take care of yourself, drink water, take your vitamins. See you guys later.